I am so excited that you clicked on this video because I'm going to be sharing with you how to make a really good version of Chipotle Sofritas Burrito. After going vegan, I really wanted to try out my drive-through fast food vegan options. And one of the very first ones that I heard about was Chipotle's Sofritas Burritos. The only downside about Chipotle is that it is a little bit on the pricier side. Spending that much money on lunch tends to get a little pricey. So please continue watching this video if you want to know how to make a really good version of Chipotle's Sofritas Burrito. Okay, so let's pretend that we're ordering a burrito from Chipotle. So what we're going to be making today is sofritas, cilantro lime white rice, pinto beans. Normally I go for black, but we only had pinto, some guac, tomato salsa, and I normally like the corn, but we didn't have any. We're going to be adding cheese and lettuce. Normally what you would want to do is make your white rice like normal, but you want to add some bay leaves into the rice. So while that's cooking, you're going to be chopping up some cilantro. I would say about half of a small bunch. And you're going to get a little jar and put 1 tablespoon of oil. It could be vegetable oil, whatever oil you want to use, but we use vegetable. And you're going to let the cilantro soak in the oil. And then we're going to chop up some lime and some lemon. So here I was kind of experimenting, and I used about a quarter of a lemon and 1 whole lime. But we made the mistake of not putting enough lemon. What I advise you to do is use a whole lime and then a whole half of a lemon, because you really want that lemon and lime to come through in the rice. Give it a quick stir and put it on the side. And then once your rice is all done cooking, you want to remove the bay leaves and pour the oil over the rice. It's best when the rice is still warm because you can easily move the rice around instead of going through thick chunks of cold rice. So I'm just mixing it all around, making sure that the oil is everywhere. This is one of their little tricks that they do. They add just a tiny bit more oil once the rice is done cooking so that it looks more appetizing to the eye. And then I just added a little bit more salt just because I couldn't taste it that much. So salt as needed. Next, I'm preparing the pinto beans. So I had already filled the pot with water and beans. Then you're going to throw in your bay leaves. I used 3. Then adding cumin, paprika, and salt. Please just ignore the quantities that I'm showing here because I had thrown in too little of each seasoning, so I was adjusting as I went. All the items that I'm putting into the beans and the rest of this recipe are going to be down below in the description box. Here I'm showing that I do need to add a little bit more water because my water is evaporating too quickly, so that would be a tip of mine, is just to keep an eye on your water and your beans. Next, we're making the guac. So first you're going to want to start off with about half a bunch of cilantro, and you're going to want to chop it up very, very finely. Another tip would be to twist your cilantro so that you can chop it up and everything comes out very, very fine. You're going to want to add your avocado. So this guac recipe is different compared to Chipotle's guacamole recipe, and the reason being is because our secret guac recipe is super delicious. It goes with the taste of the Chipotle burrito so well, and I think that you are going to try it and just love it. So here we are adding lime and lemon. We used about half a lime and half of a lemon. The goal here is to really just get that hint of lime and lemon. You don't want it to overtake the taste of the avocado, so don't get too crazy with it. Just add little by little. And now for our secret ingredients. We are going to be adding garlic powder and Lawyrs Seasoning salt. So normally you would use it on burgers, but here we're using in the guacamole and it is so good. Next you're gonna mash and put in the fridge to cool. Another tip of mine is to throw in the avocado seeds into your guac because the avocado thinks that it's still attached to the seed, so it is gonna keep it fresher for just a little longer. Alright, so next we are going to finally make the sofritas. So I don't have a tofu press here at home. So what I decided to do was add water to a nonstick pan and then add my crumbled tofu and attempt to cook the water out of the tofu. Normally what you would do if you don't have a tofu press is squish the tofu between two heavy pans, but you know what, a lady don't got time for that. So what I did is I cooked the water out of the tofu. So here you can see that the water is bubbling on the sides and it's gonna evaporate. So you're gonna wanna leave it there until there's little to no water left, or until it starts to brown a little bit. Then you're gonna remove it off of the pan and we're gonna start working on our seasonings. The very first thing that we're gonna add to the pan is about 2 tablespoons of oil, and then you're gonna wanna throw in 2 bay leaves. As you can see, I didn't add onion and I didn't add garlic to the sofritas, but this is just another one of those steps that will be in my recipe because I've done it before, but for some reason this time I forgot to do it. So please do not forget to add your onion and your garlic because it does make a difference. Here you can also see that I am throwing in my tofu before I take out the bay leaves. That is something that is a big no-no. Please take them out because really what we just want is the bay leaf to release the flavor into the oil that the tofu is going to be cooked in. I know that we've all seen those posts where people go to Chipotle and they bite into a burrito or their salad and they find a leaf and they're like, what is a tree leaf doing here? Well, it's because they didn't remove it. So just take them out and we'll be able to eat our burritos, our salads, our tacos, wherever you're gonna put these sofritas in peace. Now let's move on. So next up, what you wanna do is start chopping up our lettuce and our little condiments that go into the burrito. So here I'm just thinly slicing the lettuce that we had. I didn't have any romaine lettuce, but if you do, just chop it into thin, long slices, just like they have it. And then you're gonna want to rinse before or after. I did after, and put it to the side. Next up, I'm gonna make the tomato salsa. So I'm gonna be chopping up the tomatoes, onion. Normally they use purple onion, but I only had white, so I worked with what I had. I would say to do purple because purple does have a distinct taste. So when you're shopping, get purple, don't get white, guys. What is also not shown here is the jalapeno and cilantros that will be included in the written recipe in the description box. So after you're done chopping up your onion, tomato, jalapenos, and cilantro, you're gonna wanna throw everything into a Tupperware or a bowl so that we can mix it all together. And let's not forget that our sofritas are on the stove still, so make sure that you're checking on them. I would say to have the flame on a medium to low, more on the low side, heat. And tofu does take a while to cook, so I would just say to keep an eye on it, let it sit, but also you want to be mixing occasionally because it will stick. Once it starts to get a light brown, more than what it was before, you want to add your chipotle salsa. Now here I recommend to not add the whole thing to your sofritas because it is spicy. So add little by little, give it a taste. So of course I'm going to throw in some more cumin. Here I didn't take any measurements, but I would suggest having kind of a heavy hand on the cumin because the Chipotle burritos do have the strong taste of cumin. So go ahead and throw in your cumin until you are satisfied with it. Then I'm adding paprika. This is also just for color, but paprika is spicy, so do not go heavy with this. Just add a tiny bit to add that little extra flavor that Chipotle does have. Then once that is done, bust out your extra large burrito tortillas. You're gonna wanna warm them on a comal, but make sure to not make them crispy because then they'll be hard to fold. When I'm building my burrito, I like to go in the same order as Chipotle does. So first you're adding sofritas, then your rice, then your beans, then your guac, tomato salsa, corn, and lettuce. And then at the end, cheese. I melted the cheese just because I know for a fact that this cheese does not melt on its own. So I melted it on the comal and then added it to the burrito. I will be adding the corn recipe down below in the description box. If you have any comments or questions or any ways to make this burrito better, you know exactly where to go. Go down to the comment section and write it out for me. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you gave it a try, please give this video a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you're interested in seeing some more veganized recipes.